But we will need to retain the utility easements.
Yes, the easement.
I have one question.
Yes.
Since it's already considered an alley, if we vacate this alley, what happens if everybody in town wants to vacate the alley behind it?
Well, that is a good question.
That's the only concern I have.
Well, that is a good question, and I don't have all the answers to that. However, I know some people like having theirs. And I also know that some of the trash companies have some major problems getting trucks down some of our small alleys now too. And I've spoken with them, and you know, they're kind of neutral on that. They would like to see, you know, the cans put in front of people's houses. Makes it a lot easier on everyone. I look at it two ways. It's a lot less for the street department to have to do if we don't have as many. However, they've been there for years, and the utility easement will have to remain regardless. So does that put that on the property owner of each side of an alley? Say there's an alley that runs in between two backyards, does that put the maintenance on them instead of the city if we abandon it?
If we abandon it, it becomes the property of the adjoining landowners. So, but it will still be, but the city will retain the utility easement, so that if they say they fence that property and the utility needs to come in and work on their repairs, the utility is going to knock the fence down. Or
It would have to be,
if they can't otherwise get back.
it would have to be removed.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're going through right now with the Ryan subdivision, and we're asking people to move their fences.
Yep.
So that-
They put fences across the utility.
There's another addition in town that has nothing but easements. And when you drive a utility truck, electric, gas, I don't care what it is, if it's in an easement, it's difficult to locate your problem. I've been there. For 30 years I've been there. And you know, I can't vote in good conscience for closing an alley when it's up and down and you've got good, clear, but I'm only one vote.
That it would remain the same, wouldn't it, Mr. White?
No. If you close that alley, there'll be fences put across that property, which it'd be their property. You've got a 2-inch gas line, main, you've got primary power going down through there, and you've got pad mount transformers down through there to feed those houses. It's going to be very difficult to maintain and change out transformers and replace the wire if need be.
Agreed. But the circumstance that we're discussing tonight, you can't drive a truck through there right now. Fence, no fence. You cannot drive a truck down through there.
Where does the alley go from and to? How far does the state go off the highway?
The state comes, you talking about from the center of the road to the easement?
To past the state property, what they would consider state property. It's gotta be, I don't know, how big is an alley, Vicar?
Anywhere, they're anywhere from 10 to 20 foot.
What is that one out there we're talking?
It's 40 on that one.
Is it 40 from the center of the highway?
From the state has 40 foot from the center of the highway.
Okay,
So just past the ditch is state.
okay.
And then the alley is probably 20 foot, so. 20
So what
foot.
you're saying is the trees are all in the alley.
They're planted in the center of the easement. So if we, or the alley, however you want to call it, if we keep this as an alley, we're just as liable for cleaning up all that.
Yeah.
Every alley in town, half of that go to the state.
Yes.
There's two issues for me on that. One is recommendation of a planning committee, correct? And
Yes.
they recommended that we do not do this, and then also recommendation of City Light, Gas and Water. I had thought originally I wanted to do this, but I just, with the recommendation and the information I have on it, I can't see going that route as much as I would like to. So I'm not in favor of it at this point.
So with this being said, since it is our alley, then our street department is responsible for maintaining this. And since it butts right up against state property, how are we gonna fight that battle? Because the state's not gonna wanna come in and mow it once a week. And we're not gonna be able to take care of it like that once a week, and it's lush green grass right now. It's gonna grow. So does that fall back on the property owner to take care of this, or?
If
the street
property
department?
owners don't mow it, we have a mow crew that mows the other side of the road. They just have to mow that side too. But another thing to consider, and I don't care either way, but if it stays in the alley and it comes down to the street department having to clean it up, any trees that are beyond our capability of taking out, we'll have to pay someone to come take them out and get it opened up where we can maintain it, because we're limited as the size of trees we can take out. And I don't know what, I've never, not looked that close. I didn't know it was an alley until Victor called me when all this started. And
that's the other
I've
thing
not
I
really
wanna
looked
hear.
at how big any of the trees are. We might can take them all out. Like I said, I've not really, down at the far end where you turn into Shelton Park Place where most of the big trees are.
And then it skips one, and then you also have the trees that are in behind Judge
Right.
Pryor's fence.
And any tree that's so tall that it would fall on something, we would probably have to hire someone to cut it.
Can I ask Mr. Chittister a question here about that? Would City Light Gas and Water be able to help in that area?
We've helped other city departments take trees down and do things.
Okay.
I mean, we wouldn't take it all the way down and haul it off, but we could lay it on the ground.
They've helped us take some down before.
Yeah, we could lay it on the ground before we even got some trees off.
Yeah, I mean, if they can help us, that'd be great. Our issue is being able to get up high enough to cut them so it doesn't fall over on fences or houses or anything else.
Or anybody?
Or anybody, especially anybody.
Throw something else in on you, we have one alley that we've made it clear to the people that planted the trees that if we needed to eliminate those trees, that they would be paying the cost of it as well. So that's another situation we run into.
Well, on one of these particular homes, the people that live there did not build it nor plant the trees behind it. They're not gonna appreciate that at all. They kind of walked into that situation, or bought into it, so to speak. We have a rough cost of what it would cost the city and CLGW to do this?
I mean, it would be labor.
Dr. Fowler, do you remember what it cost you to have yours cleaned up?
18,000 is what I spent after I cut down probably half of them myself, all in all.
And we're looking at 18,000. And that was after,
He did part of it.
yeah. And I'm assuming the other two properties, north and south of yours, are just as wide. So,
I think mine's 4.5 probably. It may not be as wide. Close.
That's what we do.
Well, a lot would depend on where the trees are. If they're on the property line and we can just trim down the side of them to get beside them, that's all we would do. There are several trees that are right up against the alley property lines that are close, that are too big for us to take out, so we just deal with it as long as we can go around them. I mean, I've not really got out there on that end and looked. The only place I've looked is where they're talking about right now, Dr. Fowler's place. So I know on down the other end, you can't see down through there because it's pretty thick down through there. And it's been expressed to me that they didn't want it cleaned out. They liked it the way it was. So we haven't really, since they were talking about abandoning the alley, we've not looked at it or thought about it or anything else. We're gonna wait and see what happens. Because if you abandon the alley, then we don't have to worry about it.
that was kind of my point when I was asked a while ago, if we do this one, then, you know, half the city's gonna want it done. Well, okay. We can't get a trash truck through some of them, so, I mean, I know we have utilities through there. They can't build on it naturally. Oh, that's why we're discussing this tonight. I mean, I can see both sides of it. I can see where it could be a little more work for the utility companies going down through there. I can see where it's gonna be a lot more work for the street department to try to maintain all these alleys, because this is not the only one that's gonna be discussed. Now that we have discussed this, I know several other people that want their alleys done, and they either want them abandoned or they wanna be able to take care of them. Or, excuse me, they either want them abandoned or they want them taken care of.
We are working on alleys. We're working on cutting them out and getting them where we can mow them with a bush hog right now. That was part of the, I don't know if we discussed it at the committee meeting or the council meeting, where y'all may be getting phone calls from people that aren't too happy because they're gonna be having moved fences. We've had to have Skelton survey several properties where they have got fences built in alleys. That we're getting ready to send them letters and telling them they've got, I've talked to Terry about it. They've got 30 days to move them, and if they're not moved, it'll be turned over to the city attorney, and he'll write them a letter, and I'm assuming after Terry writes a letter, gives them 30 days, we'll be going to take the fence down, and when we take it down, we're gonna take it down. We're not gonna worry about you putting it back up. We're just gonna move it out of the alley. So if they want their fence and they wanna be able to use it again, they need to get it out themselves.